There's always so much talk about how great Malayalam films are. But the truth is, most of the times, we are always talking about the big names. But there are some amazing films out there which go under the radar because of their small scale and the lack of availability. And that's why today I will talk about two films which I can confidently say can only be made in Malayalam cinema. Let's talk. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and the two Malayalam films I'm talking about today are Aattam or The Play and Family, not to be confused by Falimi. And very interestingly, both the film stars Vinay Fortt. First, talking about Aattam, directed by Anand Ekarshi. It's available on Amazon Prime to watch. Now this film is basically a one room or one chamber drama, and one of my favorite films of this genre is the classic 12 Angry Men. It is such an old film, but it's exceptional and still one of the best. If you haven't, you should definitely check it out. Now 12 Angry Men, the whole film is inside one room, whereas Aattam takes its time to do the setup, and once the inciting incident happens, which leads us to that one room drama, that's where the roller coaster ride begins. And such films always have a topic which will be discussed, debated. It always has an ensemble cast. They all have conflicting views and they want to influence each other so that their side gets stronger. And by the end of it, they have to reach one conclusion, one decision. Now in 12 Angry Men, they all are part of a jury and they have to take a decision if someone is guilty or not. Now in that film, it's pretty much clear who's right and who's wrong. All the evidence is against this guy, but you can clearly see that guy is only being convicted because of the class discrimination. And with all the proof against them, and it's about how you convince everyone that he's not guilty. But in Aattam, the topic itself is so bold. Like, oh my god, it is so uncomfortable to even talk about in general. Forget over the internet, even in person, it's a very difficult topic to discuss about. It's dealing with sexual harassment, it's dealing with cancel culture, the onus being on the woman to prove that something wrong happened to her. We see the human selfishness, how their principles change to what is beneficial for them, the hypocrisy, the doglapan. And it's not about what is right and wrong. We are dealing in a very gray area. You can judge all the characters, but somewhere you understand where they are coming from. Somewhere you may take a stand yourself, but somewhere inside us, even we are not sure how would we react in a situation like this. That is where the writing shines. Now there was this Jitu Joseph Malayalam film with Mohanlal called 12th Man, and that was also a one room drama in a sense, but it was more about solving the crime, finding the culprit. That was the aim of that film. By the end, you find out who the culprit is, but that's not a case at all for Aattam. And I freaking love that. The film is actually a mirror to the society. It's not about the truth, but the act to get to justice, to prioritize that. And the failure of that is why everyone is wrong. It's often said justice is blind. It doesn't see race, color, religion. It only looks at the proof, the evidence, and it cannot be referential. That if someone did something wrong, that means they can also do something else wrong without proof. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, that means A is equal to C. That doesn't apply here. You need proof and evidence to establish someone committed a crime. It cannot be that you think this guy can do it, that means he did it. And even with cancel culture, just because an allegation is made on someone doesn't make them the culprit, irrespective of who they are. You cannot just hear one side and take action on someone without a fair trial. It's everyone's fundamental right to defend themselves. But the opposite is also true, that the victim has to prove that something wrong was happened to them. No one walks around with a camera on them 24/7 monitoring, and if something happens to them, they have proof to show. And most such crimes happen in the shadows, happen without eyewitness, happen without camera recordings. Most of the times there is no physical evidence to prove anything. It's all hearsay. Then how do you do justice? That's the complexity of what the film is dealing with. And to show all that without taking a side, without giving your own judgment, it's just wow. Just the guts to explore something like this is incredible. Have to give it to the cast who did a wonderful job. It's a very dialogue heavy film. There's a lot of debate and discussions and cross examines and all of that. And not knowing the language, following the subtitles, sometimes I missed it and I had to go back a bit and watch it again, but it was all worth it. Now there was a Hindi film section 375 which dealt with something similar, but the layers this film explores within this context is outstanding. Now coming to the next film, Family, directed by Don Palathara. Now I don't know where this film is available, but I got a special screener from the makers of the film Newton Cinema, so thank you for that. Now this is an all-out indie film, and only through that you can explore what this film is trying to do. It's very raw and simple to give you the vibe of how real this is, and to even show how normal and routine is what we are watching. We see how a good guy who helps everyone, even follows God, can be a wrong person too. Even such people have the ability to commit sin. But will anyone accept that? Forget anyone. Will the family ever think that one of their person who's so good, so helpful, can also be a predator? And you cannot tell the good behavior, the helpful nature, is that all a facade, or is it who they are? But they're also something else. And everyone around trusts that person so much that even if there's a doubt, they will totally neglect it. And that's why such predators most of the times hide under the cover of a family. And the family never disowns one of their own, especially when they appear to be the best of them. You know, the way the film shows all of this so naturally and so normally, the simplicity of it, that even this character you wanna hate, you kind of feel for them because they're also discovering themselves. Yes, they are committing this heinous thing, but it's not a devil inside them. It's not a wolf hiding in the sheep clothing. It's the sheep sometimes acting like a wolf. You know, such a nuanced portrayal, talking about religion into it, talking about the family, how it all works, the society around you. Only Malayalam cinema could pull it off. Now, if you don't know, Malayalam cinema is also innovating in the mass genre, the intellectual mass, which you can find out more in this video. What do you think? Let me know thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you next time.